attending this webinar. So today we're going to talk about walking and cycling holidays on the Camino. I'm Umberto. I'm the founder and CEO of Follow the Camino. And so I'm going to go through that with you guys. So if you have any question or anything, just put that in the chat and we can go through that. I'm going to go through a bit of history about the Camino, just to put that into context. I always like to do that because some people might know a lot about it, but for some people it's just trail in Spain and there's a bit more to it. Then some recommendations about routes, advice on training, what to pack and so on. What I would say to you guys is that it is also your time. So if there are the more specific questions you have, the more I can answer to them for you. And just to give you a bit of background, I have walked the Caminos many times, French way, Portuguese coastal way, English way, a bit of northern way, so several places. I've cycled the Camino as well several times. So I hope I will be in a good position to advise you. I'm sure I will be in a good position to advise you on that. Before we start, just to give you information about us. Follow the Camino is part of One Foot Abroad, so we do general walking holiday and we specialize through Follow the Camino on the Way of St. James, established in 2006. We are based in Dublin. We operate more than 10,000 kilometers of trail. So while there are some routes we sell as is, French way, Portuguese way, and so on, we're able to tailor-make these things for you, and we're very happy customers that come with us year after year, or every second year for some of them. So yeah, proud of ourselves because of doing a good job. And when you deal with us, you're trying to prepare a trip, you have a Camino planner who is dedicated to you, and from that we'll work with you to build the itinerary. Because at first you might start saying, oh, I want to do the French way. But what does it mean? Do you want to go for a week? What is a week? Is it a week with 2 days in rest in Santiago or not? So there are loads of small questions, but we help you respond these to really give you the best experience possible. So we'll help you to get the best itinerary for you. If you want something quiet, if you want something fun, if you want something stunning, hotel selection. Usually our holidays are with 2 and 3 star accommodation. I say 2 and 3 star because we can never guarantee 3 star all the way. When you walk, you are passing by smaller villages that would just simply not cater for that. Sometimes 1 star as well, or some guest houses as well. A lot of our clients, 95, 98% use the luggage transfer as well, so that when you walk or cycle, you're doing it lightweight, I suppose, and you can enjoy yourself a lot more. And we also provide you with the holiday pack, which is all the information you need to complete your Camino, whatever route that is, cycling, walking, or anything like that, and some support before the trip in terms of planning for the trip, what is best for you, when to go, and so on. Then training program, kit list. We send you the holiday pack in advance, and then during the trip, if for some reason you cannot walk or cycle a specific day, or if there's any issue with the bike or whatever, we support you then. So it's really an all-inclusive service. So just a bit of before I start on the history of the Camino, actually, if there are some specific routes that you guys want to do, or if you want to tell me if you're thinking about walking or cycling, just so that I get a feel about the ratio of who wants to go cycling or walking, just put that in the chat. Yeah, walking, French way, or walking, don't know, something like this, that would be very helpful. So the Camino means the way, and the Camino de Santiago means the way of St. James, and there is not one way to the tomb of the Apostle St. James, but a network of routes. As you can guess, in medieval time, pilgrims from Portugal would walk northwards towards Santiago and get there and come back home walking. Similarly, people from France or mainland Europe would walk via the yellow line here, the French way, for example. So the Camino is getting busier and busier. Last year we have recorded in 2018, so 327,000 pilgrims reaching Santiago. Some people reached Santiago, we did not get their pilgrim certificate because they didn't want to or whatever. And some people walked on the Camino but did not reach Santiago. Okay, not because they couldn't make it, but simply because that year maybe they walked from San Jean Pied de Port to Pamplona, for example. So just to give you an idea, most of the people on the Camino go walking, over 90%, and we've got 6-7% that would go cycling. Okay, so a smaller percentage. The Camino is walked. There is the median is around 30 years old, where 50% of the population is over 30 and 30% below. The younger generation would travel mostly in July and August. This is when it is a school holiday in Spain, for example. And also to give you an idea about the breakdown of routes, the French way would be as well the most traveled route, with nearly 60%, and the Portuguese way would come after that with 20% or so. So after that, between the French way, so the Via de la Plata, the English way, the original way, there are smaller percentages of 5-7%. And people walk or cycle for different reasons, and whatever your reason is, it's a good reason. So if you're walking the Camino de Santiago, what you need to be aware of is that you need to walk 100 kilometers to get your pilgrim certificate. The pilgrim certificate is something that you get once you have completed 100 kilometers walking into Santiago. So not if you walk 100 kilometers on the French way, but do not reach Santiago, it wouldn't count, for example. So you need to have a reasonable level of fitness to enjoy it. I suppose that's because it's not difficult, but the fitter you are, the more enjoyable it is. Also, it is most enjoyable. And cycling, for cycling, the difference is that you, in order to get your pilgrim certificate, you would have to cycle 200 kilometers. Okay, so one thing that I would say to you, let me see if we yeah, okay, cool. So walking is you have a lot of freedom, whereby we're going to walk between 20, the itineraries we will set up for you will be between 20 and 25 kilometers. Okay, sometimes up to 30 if we don't have a stop before that, and sometimes less, 17 kilometers or so. It can happen too. It depends on the route and depend on the stage. When you're walking, we say that it is a lot more sociable because you can walk side by side with some people. Obviously, there is less danger if you don't pay attention than if you are cycling, for example. So it is maybe one of the reasons why it is the most popular way of doing the Camino. It's also because this way, there is no mechanical issue, there is no, as I was saying, a safety issue and so on. Cycling, when you're cycling 50 kilometers, so between 45 and 60 kilometers per day. And either 20 kilometers walking or 50 kilometers cycling, they both represent, on average, about 5 hours of walking or on the bike, right? So that means that all the time of breaks or lunch, having a drink, and so on would be excluded. Just some do's and don'ts about cycling the Camino. I was just putting that. So have we got many people interested in cycling? What I was putting here is that we get a lot of people who want to cycle, a few people who want to go cycling. What I would say to you is go cycling if you have cycled before for a couple of hours, 3 hours, all right? It is important that you know how it feels to be on a bicycle for that amount of time. it can be good fun, but it is not for everybody, I suppose. Let me see if I get chats. Yes, I'm going to get the chats here. Great. Yeah, cycling, e-bikes. Yeah, that's a good option. Walking, fresh air, thanks. Walking, Camino Primitivo. Not sure walking or cycling, but Finisterre has to be on the list. All right, walking, Finisterre. Yeah, cool. Great. So cycling, I would say to people, and keep asking questions, guys, in comments. I will respond to them. Huh? And thank you for all those who have participated already. So cycling is something different that I wouldn't recommend for somebody who just like to cycle for 5 minutes to go to the shop or something like this. All right. Cycling requires some commitment. You may have a puncture. There is a level of danger because you need to pay attention. So it's not as social. Don't get me wrong. You sometimes cycle side by side with your companion, but having cycled hundreds of kilometers and walked maybe thousands of kilometers, I would go walking for the social aspect before the cycling, definitely. What I was saying, what I wanted to put as well to your attention is don't cycle because you cover more ground, okay? Whenever you're talking about the Camino and outdoor activities, the more is not necessarily the better, okay? It is not a race. The reason why we only cover 50 kilometers cycling or 20, 25 kilometers walking, it's not because you cannot do 30, you can one day. What about the next day? Is that once you're over the 5, 6, 7 hours of activity during the day, the next day become harder and harder. So we believe that these activities are still holidays. And as such, you need to manage yourself and time to rest and to chill out and to sip a nice cold beer in the garden of your accommodation is very important too. So that's just a tip. And also, don't go cycling if you can't fix a puncture yourself, or if if you don't know how to put the chain back on your bike, or if at least you don't have somebody in your path to do that. Okay, in cycling, you have a level of independence and autonomy that you need. That what I mean is that if you call us because you have a puncture, we can get it fixed, but it will take some time because we have to get someone to you, wherever that's possible. You might not know exactly where you are, you know. So there are things like this that are important. Cool. With regards to the popularity of routes, cycling or walking is very similar. Okay, there is no one route which is better for either walking or cycling. It is kind of the same. Let me go there. Whoop. So there are different routes. Whenever you're choosing a route, what is important is either you have something in mind, and some of you guys, you do, so that's great. We have some people who want to do the Portuguese way, Portuguese coastal way, and that's great. Or want to do something, I want to reach Santiago, and that's okay. That's a starting point. At least we know that we need to start somewhere. How many days you want to go for away from Santiago? If, for example, you want to go for a week, 8 days, 7 nights, on the Camino Frances, you would start in a town called Sarria to walk the last 111 kilometers, I think, 115. If you want to do the Portuguese way, traditional, from Tui to Santiago, Portuguese coastal way from Oia, with 2 beautiful days along the coast, that's that. And if you want to, and I won't list all the routes, but if you want to go for longer than that, it's very simple. As long as you want to reach Santiago, we'll get you to start farther away. So that in these 10 days or 2 weeks or 1 month, we'll get you into Santiago for that time. That's good. Yeah, that's great. So here I'm going to use an example of route of the Camino again. So we have some people who want to cycle e-bike. That's great. E-bike are brilliant. Remember, Deon, that the e-bike doesn't cycle on its own. You need to pedal, so it's an assistance. The reason why the e-bikes are assistant are brilliant, and we read brilliant ones, like they are kind of 2,000 euros piece of equipment. I've got one in my garden actually. They are really, really good. What to know about e-bikes, that they go maximum at 25 kilometers per hour with the assistance. There is just an EU law that stops the pushing after that. And the autonomy is 50 to 60 kilometers, right, on one charge. That means that you have to push that, otherwise you wouldn't last for a full charge only on the power of one charge. So here I'm talking about the Camino Frances, which is the most popular route. If you've never done the Camino, I think we have one person who walked the Camino last year. Yeah, Annalise. So I suppose you've walked from Sarria to Santiago, so now you want to go into the Portuguese way. So what I mean is that maybe like Annalise, first, a lot of people do the most popular route, the French way, which is very sociable, very well marked, great amenities along the way, easy to follow, not an issue at all. You can walk it in 5 walking days or 6 walking days for that section. And we can do it as well short walking options. I'll just give you an idea of the landscape to give you an idea of the difficulty. So if we are on Sarria to Santiago, so that's the type of landscape. If you're doing the last 100 kilometers on the English way, Portuguese way, French way, they're all pretty much similar. They're all from the same region. So you are looking at hills along the way, okay? No massive climb. However, whether you're walking or cycling, do expect 1 hour, 1 hour and a half of uphill every day on average, all right? It is not flat, it is not the Netherlands, but it is hilly, especially that area in Galicia. There are some flatter area farther back on the French way, section 3, 4, 5 in the Plateau de la Meseta, and in other area on the Portuguese way from Porto. I think one of you is interested in doing that part. But it's just to tell you that that's the type of thing you're looking at. Oops. The little route staying there. Anyway, continue. Camino Portuguese from Tui to Santiago, the same type of itinerary, less crowded, while the French way will be at times May, September, early October, will be crowded, will be busy. You will be unlikely to walk on your own for a long period of time. You will always have somebody in front of you or behind you because of the popularity. Some people choose to walk the Portuguese way, which is a greater balance or compromise. If you want to walk something very similar in landscape near Santiago with some people, so you'll have the whole camaraderie, but not too crowded. Okay, so you can start in 3 and so on. Good service en route. You can also maybe one question I would like to ask you guys is, who would like to go for 1 week or for a full month? If you can let me know, that would be great. Is it possible to cycle and walk? Christina, I don't like saying that, but I will say no. I'll tell you why. It's not because I don't want to. It's because walking and cycling, it's not as if we are an adventure center somewhere where today you can walk around the park and come back and get a bike for the next day. Here you are walking in a linear fashion. So we have no way to follow you. And today you say, you know what, today I'll be walking. Walking is 25 kilometers and tomorrow I'll be cycling instead. So it's just something we really don't want to do logistically. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense. So that's the reason. What I would say is, whenever you're hesitant about it, what we've done is maybe you can cycle the first 200 kilometers and walk the last 100 kilometers. That's okay. That we can do. But you have two distinct, and we have to decide earlier on what area we want to cycle and we want to walk. Just also because the stages and the accommodation will change. Walking 25 kilometers range, cycling 45, 50. For 1 week, 5 days, actually working for the engines and motion. Is that possible? Yeah, that's possible. Minimum 10 days, max 3 weeks. Okay. So if you want to walk for a month, this is what we are looking at. We are looking at a full French way, for example. You could also work on the Northern way or the Portuguese way, but the French way would be a good recommendation, good accommodation, good service. The Portuguese way, at the very beginning, there is quite a bit of road walking, and it's not super nice, whereas the French way is really, really good for that kind of 1 month, 35 days type of thing. One thing to be aware when you're walking for a long period of time is sometimes take a rest day. So whenever you talk with your Camino consultant, we'll check with you, do you want to stop every 5 days, every 10 days, whatever your time constraints are, and we'll try to fit that. And you know what, it might be better not to walk the full French way and to have 1 or 2 rest days in the middle than to walk the full French way and go all in a row. One thing which is important is to manage your body. You're not going to go in and right away walk 30 kilometers every day. You might do that for 1 or 2 days, but you will pay. You need to get the body to accustamize to the daily walking and activity, I suppose. So then we have a question about walking 10 days French way and Finistère way. So let me just get back to you. Yeah, no problem. You can walk the French way, stay in Santiago. I would stay 2 nights in Santiago and then continue on to finish there as well, or do that in one go and come back for an extra night in Santiago. That's my preferred option. You kind of have the cherry on the cake at the end to have an extra day doing nothing. But if that's not your thing, we can advise, we can customize the itinerary for you. Okay, this is why it is very important for us to talk to you on the phone, and that your Camino consultant needs to understand what do you want to achieve. Some people might want to walk 30 kilometers, and they know that's what they want because they've done it before, and we can also cater for that. Okay, but we need to learn who you are to tailor the trip exactly for you. So Louise, okay. Christina, you can walk for a month. French way or other routes, that's okay. No problem for longer than a week this time, and bring my husband this time. Yeah, well, Brad, what things we do as well is that maybe you walk for go for 2 weeks, and maybe your wife or friend can join for the last week, for example. Or you go for a month, and same thing for Christina. You can walk for a month and have somebody joining you for the last week. No problem at all. We quite regularly do that. In fact, we had a family that did the whole French way, and that different siblings coming for different parts of the trip, right? Surely help you doing that. 3 weeks French. Is it possible to start from Saint-Jean over the Pyrenees, then taxi bus? Yeah. So Suzette is asking a great question. Everything is possible, and this is why again I can't emphasize enough that it's important for us to talk to you. Is you can do the first two sections, let's say, of the French way, which are more scenic, and maybe then hop on a bus or train. There is a train that goes along most of the French way every day at 1:30 leaving Pamplona. So yeah, definitely. What we suggest is that get in touch with us, and we can start working on an itinerary for you. Maybe 10 days walking the first section, and then the last 10 days, something like this, with a couple of stops in between. Whatever. I'm sure we can highlight exactly what you want and do that for you. Let me see if I'm going to have the northern way coming up. So these are. I'm just going to continue on the presentation for a few slides and answer some questions as I go along. Okay. So these are the cycling itineraries. So as I was telling you, it's between 30 and 50 kilometers, sometimes higher, sometimes less. It depends. If you've got a big incline, we'll tend to stop at 45 kilometers. If it's flattish, we might push at 60, 70 kilometers sometimes. So the French way for us is cut in 3 sections. Roncesvalles to Burgos, Burgos to Ponferrada, and Ponferrada to Santiago. Again, we can tailor that. These are just 3 blocks of 1 week. They're really nice, really enjoyable. And that's the Portuguese coastal way as well. If you want to go for a week from Porto to Santiago, it is a great week. It is relatively flat. You're cycling alongside the coast for the 7 days, which is amazing. Not that easy in the sense that it is quite windy as well. So while the French way is inland, you might have a bit of a quiet day. When you're on the Atlantic coast, you have a bit of breeze, which sometimes a bit tiring, but it is very beautiful, amazing. You can stop to have a bit of a dive in the sea. Needs for speed. And this is if you want to cycle in 10 days and you are fitter. We can organize as well more of a Camino challenge. Okay, but I haven't read any question on that. How many working days in Norte? Training. So for the Camino del Norte, Dennis, we are from the Camino del Norte to Santiago. We're talking about 30 days, 30, 40 days. I can't remember exactly. So if you're starting in San Sebastian, okay, if you're starting later in the itinerary, obviously it is shorter, but we're taking a long distance as well. The northern way is that light blue line here, and the northern way finishes in Oviedo, which then is the start of the original way, because the Camino originated from Oviedo when the king of Asturias in year 1000 made the first pilgrimage on horseback. Okay, so that's how long it lasted. Okay, just escape that and go back to the presentation. Let's talk about training. Please do fire away questions if I haven't answered them already. That you would have walking or cycling. I still have this track there. It's a bit weird. I think it's a reminiscence of this thing. Anyway, odd. So training. What we say is that everybody, if tomorrow you're going for a week on the Camino, or even a month, you will be able to do it. Everybody can walk. All right, it is okay. Everybody can walk 5-6 hours a day. However, it is good to train so that you reduce the risk of injuries and that you can enjoy it more. If tomorrow we start the Camino, I can tell you that anybody will get sore muscles the next day. Why? Because most of our jobs are sitting at the desk and so on. So we're not accustomed to these 5 or 6 hours walking every day. Whereas if we start practicing, the body will get the memory of this exercise and will be much better prepared for that. So what we recommend is 4 months in advance to start preparing with at first one walk or one cycle per week of an hour or 2, and then to gradually build that up with the weekend, maybe a longer walk or cycle, to get as close as possible to walking days in a row. What is important is that after one done the Camino at 5-6 hours of walking or cycling, the next day you have to go again. So it is great if before you go on the Camino, you have a weekend where you do 2 walks, for example. That's quite important, I suppose. And same thing, play with the terrain. Depends where you live, obviously, but it is good to have a bit of hill sometimes, or some flat and so on. But there is no technicality to the Camino. It is easy to follow, so the training is advisable. Okay. Let me check. Okay. Then we have the kit list. So On the kit list, this is something we might send to you after this webinar as part of a thank you email or something like that. It depends whether or not you are carrying all of your gear or if you're getting your luggage transferred. If you book with us, we're going to transfer your luggage, and obviously you'll have an extra piece of luggage up to 15 kilos to put more stuff. All right. But the way I have worked this kit list is to try to be sensible and to give what is enough. Some people might want to put more, some people might want to put less. What I would say is less, it's not a lot, more becomes quite a lot. So just trying to find the balance. So if you're carrying all of your gear, for example, we're looking at let me zoom in there. Oops. If you're carrying all of your gear, we're looking at obviously a pair of shoes for the walking. And what is very important is a pair of shoes for when you're not walking. I can tell you that if you're starting at 9 a.m., you're walking for 5-6 hours, stopping for coffee, for lunch, and when you arrive at your hotel, the last thing you want to put on after your shower is your shoes that have been on your feet all day. So depends on what time of the year you go, but usually a light pair of runners or flip-flops are really, really welcome. In terms of shoes for walking the Camino, we're looking at approach shoes, so not a high ankle support. There is no real need unless you like this type of things. For me, we are between the trail runner and the approach shoes. So something sturdy, but not the big hiking boot, especially if you're going on to higher temperatures. Sometimes if you're going on to July, August, you might want to have something like that. Even the sandals. Sandals are really good in hot weather. Then in terms of socks, I'm just putting here numbers, 3 socks if you're carrying everything. So 3 socks wide, 1 on, 1 clean, 1 just in case. It's pouring rain. I can tell you at midday, you want to change these wet socks, right? So that's how I would work things out. And same with the t-shirts, same as socks, change them like this. Very important things, always get synthetic, no cotton. Cotton is really bad for walking because it keeps the moist. And if it keeps the moist on you, you can get chafing and can get cold. So yeah, the open-toed shoes, bingo. I wouldn't wear them in October, November, a bit too cold, unless you want the style with the socks on. That's your stuff, okay? But they're really good. Our main guy, Fran, who has a video on our YouTube channel, that's all he wears. And he gets through a couple of pairs every year. But yeah, open toes are a really good idea. My only issue with shoes is if you are onto the sneakers. Sneakers are too light runners. A, you're going to wreck them walking on dirt road, on forest track with these. And B, because they're so soft, there is no ankle support. Okay, a lot of the ankle support actually comes from the sole as opposed to the ankle. So that's just something to bear in mind. That's a nice space for you. So then we're talking about socks, underwear, same thing. Try to avoid cotton, synthetic, or merino wool. Wool is good as well. If you're going into a colder time of the year, I mean, the February, March-ish, and the October-ish, maybe you want a base layer. You know, one of these tight things around your body. You can have a base layer and your t-shirt on top, all right? Just that it keeps the warmth around you and so on. The advantage of the base layer as well is that it keeps the moist away from your actual skin. So that's something to bear in mind. And then we're looking at layers. So if you've got your t-shirt, a polar fleece, you must have a polar fleece or a jumper, because even in May or in September or even in August, in the morning at 8, 9 a.m., whenever you're going to set off, it's going to be chilly, 10 degrees, 12 degrees. So you might have your polar fleece for the first half an hour. And then once your body is warmed up and temperature rises, then you can shove that in your backpack. Off you go. Yeah, evening outfit. If you're carrying your stuff, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the jeans. Just wear your trousers or your shorts that you were not using that day or whatever. Nobody would mind. If you've got a suitcase, I like to have one pair of jeans for a week and maybe an extra pair of trousers, something like this. Okay. If you want to pack more and it fits in your case, go for it. But remember, whatever you pack and unpack, you have to repack the next day. So watch that. Um, yeah, that's it. After it's books, I've put here pins. Pins are quite important if you want to wash your clothes along the way. If you're going for 10 days, some of you want to go for 10 days or a month, while you can wash your clothes in some of the accommodations. Sometimes it's good just to rinse your t-shirt in the in the in the bath sink. Nice temperatures in Spain. It will dry overnight. If it doesn't, you can put that on your rucksack, and in an hour it will be dry. Okay. Let's transfer. I have no idea where I have this line on the presentation, guys, but hey. Mass buff, yeah. So if you book with us, we're going to give you one. So don't need to buy one. We have some lovely buffs that will, I'll see if I have one handy. I went for a jog this morning already. No. Yeah, we've got some. Yeah, they are brilliant. These things, guys, they are really, really good. So have a buff for your head, for your neck, whatever it is. We'll give you one. My favorite time of the year to go on the Camino. All right. I'm just going to go through these couple of slides while we talk about other questions. So, guys, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Obviously, it is a general presentation. I'm really happy to answer any question you have. So do fire away if I haven't covered anything you want. Okay, walking, cycling, gear, whatever, fire away. I'll just give you an update on coronavirus as well. Okay, I'll do an update on the. Okay. I'll answer Brad's questions, then I'll do an update on the coronavirus, and then I will answer your question. So that leaves you a minute or so to ask questions, guys. Brad, my favorite time of the year to go? No favorite time. What I mean by that is usually I adapt to the weather. If I'm going in July, August, I'll start earlier in the morning, okay? Just because it's hot. I was there in August 2 years ago, and by 1 p.m., it was 30, 32 degrees. So that's quite hot. I was there with my kids, so sometimes I had to skip the end of the stage just because it was becoming a bit unsafe. But you can, if you're the adults, obviously, maybe you start at 6:30 in the morning, okay? If you're going in October, for example, the sunrise is only at 7:30, 9 o'clock in that part of Spain. So there's no point going at 6:30 in the morning unless you're an early waker. The milder, warmer times would be from May, June, okay? Mid-April to mid-June to end of June, really good. And from August, from September to mid-October, all right? These are good. Now, I've been there in December as well, and I was walking in short sleeves, for example. So just to give you an idea, just mind as well that with climate change, things are harder and harder to predict, okay? So I'm giving you guidelines, but October, 2 years ago, I remember a client ring me on the 2nd of October telling me, what is this? It's 30 degrees in here. It's too hot. One of those, you know. So that's that. I hope I answered your question, Brad. Now I'm going to just give you an update on coronavirus. Coronavirus is affecting us all, and I'm delighted that we've got 30 of you, or I don't know, there are loads of you on this call. That means that all of you, 29, want to travel. Yes, you need to travel, okay? We need you to travel, all right? At the moment, we are getting by, but it is tough. The travel sector and our accommodations, it is super tough. All right, they're contacting us. We are liaising with them to see if they're all okay. So, so what we've done is that if you book with us with Follow the Camino, we'll give you a free change fee if there is a pandemic issue for the date you're traveling. Right? What that means that I want you to book for September, for August, for whenever you want to travel. And if for some reason Spain is closed for business and doesn't accept travelers, or same thing where you're coming from the States or from wherever you're coming, they are not advising you to travel. Well, what we'll do is we don't offer a refund, but we offer to change the date for free. Okay? That's all what we can do. You want to go to the Camino is great. We want you to go. If for this external reason, the COVID-19, you can't go, we'll help you go. Maybe later in the year or next year, whenever you like. All right, so that's what we do. Now, just to a quick note that all of our accommodations, they are putting in place already methods to combat the COVID-19, whatever that means, guys. The local Galician government has already issued some policies about it. So accommodation will have to follow them. We're going to prepare a blog article about that to let you know. But again, guys, I was hearing about EasyJet who wants to fly with 3-row seat with the one in the middle empty. Like, yeah, it looks like there is some social distancing, but really, 2 hours on a flight, going in and out, are we not going to touch the headrest of the other seat and so on? You know, look, on this, I suppose the authorities might not know very much what they are doing either. So it's more of a wait and see, and we simply adapt to that. But our accommodation, they are all ready for it. They are reviewing their policies already. They're already cleaning their places, right? They're already really good places. Some of them are using ozone cleaners and all these things, whatever. You will be safe, okay? You will be as safe as you can be traveling, okay? So let me go back to a few more questions. Which was the hardest concerning mountains or hills? Okay. Zvonko. I've skipped you, sorry. Zvonko, the hardest one concerning mountains or hills. I would ask you another question is, do you not want to have any challenge? If you don't, then that's fine. We can avoid it. Otherwise, on the French Way Section 1, when you're crossing the Pyrenees, the first day is challenging. It is 6-7 hours out walking with 1,100 meters ascent. Okay, it's doable. It is a constant 7% climb, but it's a long day. Now it's beautiful. Okay, if you go up, you can see farther away. So pros and cons. Also, on the French Way Section 7, when you are going to Ocebrero, you are crossing the Leon Mountains. That's also challenging, okay? Now, it's not because I've said that there is these two parts that are challenging that you will not get tired somewhere else, okay? Just have in mind that except these two places that are really 1,000 meters ascent, every day you will be climbing 300-400 meters, okay? 300-400 meters like a hill. Okay, it's not a mountain, it's not mountaineering or anything like that. It's just a little bit of up and down. Sometimes it's one big hill and the rest is flat, and sometimes there are all of these sneaky hills, boom, 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 and Galicia is renowned for that, up and down, up and down, up and down. But look, that's walking, it's part of the Camino, but you don't see them, you don't feel them when you're in a hilly environment, you're just chatting to people around you. That's that. When do you think the Camino will reopen? So, great question from Anthony. I have no idea. What I can tell you, Anthony, is that we're all craving for business to come back. As I was saying earlier on, we're all hit. We've got hotels that are there. We've lost half of our season already with April and May. So that's that. What I can say though is that there is the beginning of a hint of a light at the end of the tunnel, in the sense that governments in Spain and in Europe in general, and the States as well, are starting to see how they're going to reopen. and allow people deconfine. What that means, I'm not sure. Most likely for Europe anyway until July, I don't think we want to accept anybody from outside of Schengen. This is what I heard on the radio today, but that's not uh, official. It's just what they're considering. So the way I see things is that from now you can start planning for August, September. Okay, July, August, September. That's all I can say. What I can tell you though is that both your airline and ourselves, if there is the pandemic that does not allow you from traveling, your airline will change your ticket and we will change your trip for free. Okay, so uh, let's let's work like this where nobody knows, so it's hard. You're not, if you want to book for next year, it's fine, but what are you going to do this year? No? Jenny, what time of the year the least amount of people for the French way, Portuguese way? Well, Jenny, go in December, go in January, very quiet. Yeah, as soon as you are after middle of October, the number of travelers decrease dramatically. Okay, if you're on the French way up to end of October, you will see a few people. November, you won't see many people. And on the Portuguese way, same thing. So from November to February, early March, it is quieter. All right. So if you want something quieter, that's when. Or you could choose a quieter route, such as the Via de la Plata, in whenever you like, in May with the nice weather. They are less traveled and you will see less people. Okay. So do get in touch with us, Jennifer, and we'll probably we need to have a deeper conversation to see exactly what you're looking for, and we can tailor that for you. Then is cycling for 3 weeks. Yeah, cycling for 3 weeks, same thing. Then we want to know who you are. Cycling for 3 weeks, 50 kilometers a day. We are at 900 kilometers. So the French way, chilling out, could work. The Portuguese way could work. The Northern way, original way could work. Do you want to avoid the hills? What are you looking for? Yeah, I would like to know more about what you have in mind, because maybe if you can clock in the miles a bit more, maybe the Via del Plata could work as well. Yeah, just get in touch, Glenn. French way could work in 3 weeks with a few rest days, no problem. Portuguese way, same thing, but less people. So I would lean over the French way. If you want to clock in the miles and see great cities, French way is good, but Via del Plata could be amazing too. I'm just back from it. I was there last October. I was really impressed by it, but very quiet. Okay, you will not meet other pilgrims there. Just very quiet. Thanks for that. That's great. I'll be next year. Yeah, there. You're more than welcome. Thanks for those who are leaving. This was most helpful and encouraging. Looking to book 30 days next year. Jennifer, get in touch with us as soon as possible so we can plan. We can make booking now and guarantee you best accommodation as well. Something very important, okay? And as I was saying at the very beginning, it takes a couple of weeks to a few weeks to get your itinerary ready. Because first you're like, yeah, I want to go for 30 days, and then we're going to draft you an itinerary. And you say, well, where can I stop? Where is it interesting to stop over? I tell you, well, I think here is good, but you might choose 2 or 3 of these because you want to spend more time in Santiago or whatever it is. Do get in touch and we'll start working on that with you. Oops, let me see. Thank you so much. Namaste, Jennifer. Alors, I've got a question from Suzette. If we book through you, do you pre-book all accommodation? So, Suzette, we do pre-book all accommodations, right? So everything is set. It is true. The way we break down the stages is 20, 25 kilometers. It's what we've done for the past 10 years. We've sent out tens of thousands of people on the Camino, and usually they are okay. This is why we need to talk to you to see how far can you walk. Can you walk 30 kilometers, and so on. Because depending on that, we are happy to merge and to make stages at 30, 35 kilometers. We can do that. But it's a question of knowing oneself. Most likely, if you go for a week, 20, 25 kilometers a day is enough. You want to chill out. Maybe if you're going for longer, you will get fitter as week 2, 3 kicks in, and then we can play with that. But do talk to us. We want to know how fit you are, who you are, and what is of interest, and so on. What we say is that if some people travel with different levels of fitness, so if some people travel with different level of fitness, what is important is that there is always a way to take a taxi for the last 5 kilometers or something like this. Like, let's say that you're traveling with someone who is not as fit. Maybe you walk from the beginning of the stage, but you ask your friend to meet you at kilometer 10 so that you walk the last 15 kilometers together, for example. That's really, really handy. We do that with multi-generational groups, I suppose. You don't want people to feel left out, and instead of starting together in the morning and having people dropping during the day, I think it's much better experience for everybody to say, look, I'll meet you at kilometer 10, kilometer 15. I do that with my kids. I do that when I've got people that are a bit older and not ready for the challenge. I just check them out if I'm leading a group. Say, look, tomorrow at 10:45, take a taxi and tell us to bring you this place to the map. So we book the accommodation for you. I don't think there is any reason why you wouldn't make it to the next stage, but it is good, and at least we guarantee you have a bed waiting for you. And if we were not doing that, we wouldn't know where to bring your luggage, for example. So that's one of the reasons as well why we do that. The benefits. So yeah, benefit of booking, you've got a bed, the accommodation that we choose, we use all year round, we select them. If they don't perform, we drop them in the list and we don't use them. So we know you're going to have a good time. Check the reviews we have on the website, on Trustpilot or whatever. They are genuine reviews, whatever. And the way we work is that we want you to have a good time. This is why we want to talk to our clients, just check who you are. Are you somebody who's going to be slower? That's okay. If somebody is going to be faster, that's okay. But we're going to give you a different package, slightly different package to suit exactly your need. The trying to rebook for end of September. Yeah. Well, Katriona, yeah, you're doing good. Like end of September is a good time to go. It's a pity that you couldn't walk today. But end of September, I hope that things will be back to normal enough back then. And it's really helpful. Nice to have the positive. We'll be considering our thing soon and get in touch. Do get in touch. We've got people waiting for that. They are really helpful. My team is amazing. They want to talk to you. They want to give you a good time. Okay. So thank you, Louise. Thank you so much. And that's that. Yeah, 2020, 2021. Do inquire. Do get in touch, and we'll get something organized for you. So I stay here for another 10 seconds. Unless we have any more questions, I would like to thank you all for spending a time with me. It was a real pleasure. I really enjoyed the questions, really good questions. There is a discount, a little token. If you're being with us, just mention Camino webinar and you benefit from a little discount. And let me check the last chat. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Great to hear. I'll be in touch with you straight. Sounds good. People, thank you very much. I'm going to close the webinar. I have no more questions. And stay safe. Keep the spirit up. Goodbye.